two guys talking about the instrumental case, telling an AI to talk about two guys talking about the instrumental case.
Yeah, they want to stop.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm very invested now. You
Okay.
had my attention now with AI augmented.
The newest version, which is 03,
Can
with
be abstract. You breathe powietrzem by means of the air. You
Correct. I
relax.
teach Polish soldiers. All
Notebook LM to generate podcasts where there are two hosts and they have a conversation about whateve you want. I wish I was your student and now
I
you
meant in Warsaw, I've never seen a slow walking person ever. Things
find
like this are
find the hole. Last week you told me about your job and you mentioned something which I think is very interesting, and it's called STANAG
stuck.
001. So
Yeah,
maybe you can tell us more about it.
of course, not a problem. So I began working at Ashavoy, Akademia Studia Wojny, so War Studies University in Warsaw. And so with this, I'm teaching primarily STANAG English. So STANAG is NATO's standardized, let's say, agreement for language proficiency across all of their allied, let's say, forces. And so as a result, 6001 is, English that's used in a military, let's say, readiness. So
Okay, yeah,
So there are five levels of this from 0 to 5. So 0, so pre A1 English all the way to 5 to native and let's say mastery of the language.
yeah,
And so now I'm teaching two courses. So Poziom Dwego, 2, so level 2
yeah.
writing, and then level 3 reading comprehension. So at these earlier levels, there's mainly, so for level 2, there's reading, speaking, and listening. And then at level 2, it increases to reading, speaking, listening, and then conversation. So speaking within a normal basic, let's say, understanding, and then conversational skills that go beyond that. And then, of course, up to level 4 and level 5. Level 4 is where there are, let's say, presentations that are given. So you need to give a, let's say, a PowerPoint presentation or some demonstration in some capacity. And then, of course, at level 5, well, you're presenting and leading, let's say, a whole, let's say, presentation on your own. So aside from that, I'm primarily working with B1 to C1 learners. And so within the military context, at least for level 2 writing, I'm working with formal and informal emails. So writing in a very concise and professional way in a, let's say, militaristic setting. So understanding small, let's say, vocabulary, platoon, soldiers, even some slang, such as, a few clicks down south, or even some
Yeah.
military code in English, so 10-4 understood. And so
Like
things like this.
find the hole.
Yeah, seriously. And for the most
Yeah,
part, it's been really good. And then for reading comprehension, of course, is finding articles or materials that are, let's say, appropriate for the military context, and of course, what NATO designates as like an important topic. So, for example, for my reading, the four primary topics that were described were drone warfare, geopolitics, and anti-terrorism. And so I have to maintain articles or readings that are within that realm. So for the most part, it's been really good. Really enjoyed it. We just finished the semester, and so everyone's done well, at least in my group, for what I teach and what they've been tested on. So it's all been going well.
yeah, like to me, this sounds perfect because, my favorite topics like, geopolitics, drones. So I wish I was your student and now,
Oh, it gets pretty fun.
yeah,
In as we get closer to, let's say, their exams, because there are exams that you can take for a proficiency certification. And then from there, of course, you get more opportunities for its deployment or where you can get deployed. So level 3, are able to go further out. Level 4 and 5, of course, again, you just get to branch out further to more native English areas. And so, for the most part, it's just very, very interesting to take these articles. Most recently, from the very beginning, we started off with one page of something that involved, I don't know, let's say the newer generation of fighter jets that the US and Canada are, let's say, working in producing. So F-16s now with AI augmented, let's say, cockpits. So it's pretty cool, pretty interesting. And then, of course, we later got into more complex topics such as the Hezbollah and his, let's say, influence within Latin America and his, let's say, cooperation with cartels, specifically Los Zetas, so the Z's, very prominent cartel, known for their violent tactics. So pretty interesting and how, you know, these things are being, let's say, combated, being understood, and of course being mitigated. And so it's just been a really big pleasure to go over these complex topics and have them read these things. So it's been fun.
Yeah, it really sounds very interesting. So you're now working in Warsaw and you teach Polish soldiers, right?
Correct. I teach Polish soldiers. All of them are at least in the most part active duty. Active duty. Some of them are, part of the military, and of course may not be active members. But for the most part, all of my students do work or live near the military base, so they are not, very far out. They are, working at the base in their, let's say, designated areas. And so when it comes to, teaching them, let's say, English, one of the questions you posed to me uh, in the list was, what is so different between, let's say, students who are learning, say, for example, in on their own free time or out of curiosity, in comparison to military personnel. Something that I think was very, very enjoyable was seeing the change in understanding, not so much as a long-term goal for knowing things, but a point by point, let's say, assessment of how can I say this efficiently and how can I understand it efficiently. And so it's a very, very unique process. There's many standards that need to be met, and so they really try to reach the thresholds that are required for NATO standard. So there's a very big difference in that.
Okay. So, but would you say it's more challenging to teach military English than just the standard one, let's say?
I would say teaching military English isn't so difficult. It's primarily very professional. So in terms of writing, with my background in technical writing, it's primarily more business writing in that sense. Very open, very professional, very punctual. So things are, said with a single purpose. There's no other, let's say, fluff or ideas that are put into it. So it's very similar in that aspect. Now, as for their like differences in learning, whether it's been more difficult for me to teach it, I wouldn't say no, especially when it comes to my students. Of course, many of them are much older. The highest rank I have is a lieutenant colonel. Lowest was major or sergeant major. And so, they're all adults, they have children. And so, for the most part, they are there to do their job, and their job is to learn. So it's not so much that they're doing it out of their own, let's say, curiosity, which I'm sure they are, but they're also doing it because it's part of their job. So I think that's what makes it very easy for me in that I don't have to worry about them, let's say, losing motivation because, it is their job to learn to do this.
Yeah.
So I think what makes it, let's say, in my opinion, at least better for me in comparison to, say, younger students is that these adults have, let's say, experience in these topics that we discuss. And so there's not really a learning curve for them. It's more so of just learning how to say what they want to say in a matter of time.
Okay. And what's the biggest difference between teaching in Poland and teaching in the US?
So when I was in the US, I was teaching university level students, undergraduate and graduate. And of course, teaching, let's say, young adults to, well, mature adults is wildly different. But I would say that when it comes to teaching in Poland, it's a bigger, let's say, emphasis on students, let's say, self-learning. So I will give them material, I will help them. But of course, at the end, they really need to do more on their own in order to excel. While say in the United States, when I was lecturing, well, technical writing, I very much had to sit with my students and tell them how to do things step by step. Of course, they were undergraduate, graduate students, so 18 to 25. So there was a bit of a gap between, let's say experience with technology and experience in a workplace. So I think the biggest difference for me was just the, let's say, pace of time and punctuality. I understand, in the culture of Poland, punctuality is a big thing for most people, at least from what I've met in Warsaw. I've never seen a slow walking person ever. So in Texas, South Texas at least, Hispanic culture is, very loose on time. We'll be there at 6, they'll show up at 6:30. So I would say a big shift in punctuality. That was the biggest difference for me, and one that I'm grateful for now because wow, I don't miss grading late assignments. That's for sure.
Nice. Do you use any AI tools now in this job with Polish soldiers?
For research, definitely. Um, as a civilian myself, I can't really get, any, let's say, deep, mysterious documents, to analyze. So I really do rely on journalistic articles. So using JSTOR, using Taylor and Francis, using any other, let's say, accredited journal, let's say, outlet for these military documents. I use the US government site, the CIA, the FBI, so I use them with their open public articles to find readings. So for the most part, I use AI primarily as a tool to get things for them to read because I don't want them to be bored, Yes, they're adults and it is the job, but I want to try and make it fun, Reading for an hour and a half and answering questions isn't fun for everyone,
Yeah,
surprisingly. So yeah, that's pretty much what I use AI for the most part. I do use it to help generate worksheets. So um, I do have a habit of creating worksheets of 4 pages. 2 pages are dedicated to the reading, and then the other 2 pages are, 20 to 25 questions about the reading because it's a reading comprehension class. So I've used it to help generate better questions because the questions that I make, yes, they are good, they are efficient, but at the same time, I want them to be used to the types of, let's say, sentence configurations and the, let's say, sentence structures that are present in STANAG exams. So I do use AI to fix it, to have it, let's say, be more complex, less complex, of
yeah,
course, depending on the topic.
okay. And what about learning Polish when you learn? And do you use any AI now?
Yeah, to learn Polish, I don't really rely on AI all that much. Again, and learning Polish, I've been able to, let's say, ingrain myself in the culture. So, for example, now, well, actually 2 days ago when I went with my wife to the store, an older woman had asked, where is Remberto 02, like so the bus station. And I was about to speak to her and tell her, oh, you can go left. And I was like, wait, okay, I can't say that because I don't know this. And then so, for the most part, I think being in Poland, being completely engulfed by the culture, by the language, has helped me with my, let's say, understanding of the language. So whenever someone will speak to me and I can get the context, I can have a general understanding of what's being said. especially at work as well. Many of the faculty in HR does not speak English, and so when it comes to signing any documents regarding my let's say banking payment or let's say finances in general, it's all in Polish, and so I've been able to now digest a few words to help me with that.
Nice,
So
nice,
yeah, it's
nice.
been it's been quite okay, especially for written documents. Yeah, thankfully I now understand a good part of where I need to sign and where I don't need to sign because I've had a few incidences where it'll say imię nazywasz and then date, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll sign there too. That's not for me, that's for HR to sign. So, had a few small issues, while doing it, but for the most part, I'm now okay in the work environment. A lot of my colleagues do speak English as it is the foreign language department, so they all do speak English. Some British American, some American English. So for the most part, I've adjusted quite well in understanding it. Now, speaking it with my students. Um, it's not recommended, as they told me as I was being vetted, because the last thing they want is to speak Polish in an English class. So, for the most
Yeah,
part, the only Polish I practice at work is primarily between coworkers or at HR.
okay. So last week, we started learning the instrumental case,
Hmm.
and one of the most challenging things when you learn grammar is just how boring it is. And I was experimenting with AI, with different models, just to generate, let's say, a better way of learning grammar, which can be fun, or there can be some jokes related to the grammar, or like I told you before, what you told me during our lesson, which we had before this conversation. You told me a funny story. So now I'm going to share my screen and explain more about what I've been talking here. Okay, let's see. Mm, Okay, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, so now we are on ChatGPT. I have already chosen the newest version, which is O3, which uses advanced reasoning,
Mhm.
good enough for Polish grammar. So as always, I will start with this prompt: act as a Polish language tutor to foreigners, and generate a um, lesson for beginners. Um, explain why, because you can see, explain um, instrumental case. I know ChatGPT had to think for 4 seconds, which is pretty fast.
Pretty quick.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it takes more time depending on um, the instruction, depending on the prompt. So we're not going to read all these things. I think it's going to be correct. I have already tested it. And what we're going to do next is we are going to ask it, do you know what notebook LM is?
Oh, okay. I didn't expect it to pick up on it. Okay.
Yeah. Notebook LM in a nutshell. Notebook LM is the Google's AI first notebook. Think of it as a virtual research assistant that lives inside a note-taking app. Okay, so basically what we are interested in is the ability of Notebook LM to generate podcasts where there are two hosts and they have a conversation about whatever you want.
Mhm.
So now we will ask ChatGPT to generate a prompt for Notebook LM, and we will ask ChatGPT to focus on the instrumental case. So let's write this. And generate a prompt for Notebook LM. And the goal is to generate a podcast where the hosts talk about what you generated about the instrumental case.
How meta.
Sorry?
How meta. Two guys talking about the instrumental case, telling an AI to talk about two guys talking about the instrumental case.
Yeah,
Very
welcome
cool.
welcome in 2025. So I want you to um, generate not only a grammar based discussion, but also use jokes related to Texas, Polish soldiers, and um, also yoga, right?
No.
Okay, let's try. Sorry, I will have to. I get a message from one of my students. I think he's confused about what time we have a lesson. So I will have to.
No, proszę.
Um, so it's 30. Okay. So ChatGPT thought for 9 seconds. Here is a ready-to-paste notebook LM prompt that will steer the model to craft a lively 10 to 12 minute podcast episode based on your instrumental case lesson, spiced up with Texas Polish soldier and yoga humor.
Buy stuff. Wow.
Okay, so we have this here. Let's copy the prompt. And now let's open Notebook LM. That's notebooklm.google.com. Then we click create new. And here we can add all kinds of sources like pictures, PDF files, links, just basically anything. But now we have our text. So we click here, copy the text. We paste it here. And this is it. And then we click insert. And then Notebook LM thought for maybe 2 seconds. Now we click here on generate. You see my screen, right?
I can see everything, yeah.
Okay, so we click here on generate. And it has started generating. Now this sometimes takes a few minutes. Meanwhile, we can just see what exactly it has generated.
Interesting. Okay.
So you are scripting. Maybe you can read through it if you
Okay,
want.
so
Yeah.
yeah, sure thing. So you want to read it aloud? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are scripting a conversational podcast episode for language learning newbies. Sources: the full lesson on the Polish instrumental case, Nazientnik, that I just loaded. Task 1. Write a 10 to 12-minute audio script for 2 hosts. Host 1, Anya, native Polish teacher, warm and witty. Host 2, Tex. Tex and learner, loves big metaphors, mild drawl. Fair enough. 2. Structure the episode. Cold open joke, 10 to 15 seconds. B. Intro music cue and show intro, 30 seconds. Followed by segments 1. Quick recap of what the instrumental case is, 2 minutes. Segment 2. Deep dive with examples, 4 minutes. Segment 3. Comedy break and culture chat, 2 minutes. Segment 4. Mini quiz for listeners, 1 minute. Outro and homework, 30 seconds.
Okay, sorry. Let's see what's going on. Okay, it's still working.
I gotta say, that's quite the script, actually. I'm quite impressed with how much it's generated, honestly. I thought it
Wow.
wouldn't have been this.
Have you ever
Uh,
used Notebook LM?
no, I haven't. I have not used Notebook LM.
Okay, that's good because you'll be definitely shocked by what you're going to hear in a few seconds. Okay, it's ready. So it was pretty fast. And yeah, so let's play and see what's going to happen, yeah.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something
You can hear, right?
Oh, I can hear it, and that's eerie. I don't like that it's not the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to stop?
Oh, no. I'm very invested now. You had
Okay.
my attention, but now you have my complete interest.
Okay. Let's move
a bit unusual. We're looking behind the curtain, not at learning Polish itself,
Yeah,
but at how you design, well, really effective learning material.
exactly. We've got this fascinating source. It's part of a script, a detailed script for a Polish language learning podcast.
And it's not about the Polish, really. It's about the structure, the intentional choices, how they engineer engagement.
Yeah, our mission, if you like, is to unpack that, to look at the teaching strategies, the creative bits, the structural scaffolding they use. How do they make complex grammar, approachable, even
Right.
fun, so you learn quickly but don't just get swamped?
And why should you listening now
Well,
care about this?
Well, because understanding how this stuff is built, it can genuinely change how you learn, how you see educational content, how you appreciate the craft behind it.
Okay, so let's dive in. The first thing that just jumps out from this script is the structure. It's meticulous.
Whoa, absolutely. It's not just random.
No, they've got this flow. A cold open joke to start, then a quick recap here. It's the instrumental case in Polish.
Okay, so the first problem I see here is that my prompt was not it was not correct because they're literally talking about what
About,
is written here,
yeah.
but they don't, because ChatGPT wrote that I just loaded, but in fact, it didn't load it over here, right? So we will have to ask now ChatGPT to load. You need to load the instrumental case lesson in the prompt which you are generating for notebook LM. This was interesting.
I'll
I
give it credit. I didn't think it was going to get that far. I really thought it was going to mess at some point. What got me was the actual change in tone and that they speaking. I didn't expect it to speak so well.
yeah,
So
they speak like real people, I would say.
very much so, actually. Creepy, cool, but it's a little creepy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that was nice though. I'll give it credit. Yeah, I can definitely see how this can be beneficial for someone if they want to learn, but I'm not sure how far they would use it to where they would just, abuse it and not learn anything. So I think there's a point of diminishing returns here of what they would actually learn and what they would not. So I definitely see how it can help though.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see what's going on with this prompt here. It's still not what exactly I want. So you need to generate not an actual lesson, but a conversation full with jokes about the instrumental case. So my goal here is, let's say, last week we started learning this instrumental case. I sent you a few files. They were just pure theory, not even a single joke over there. So my idea is to have multiple sources when you learn Polish grammar because the good thing about this podcast is going to be that you can download it. Like you can have the MP3 file and you
Yeah.
can, let's say, I don't know, you can go for a walk or just listen whenever you want to it. And these jokes combined with boring theory together can give you just a different perspective. So grammar is not just something that's serious and boring anymore, right?
No, of course.
So let's try with this podcast episode instrumental.
Instrumental hijinks. A light guitar strum with a country twang fades in. Oh, I can hear it already.
Okay, let's try. And there are, multiple options here that is good to try. Let's start over. Create new copy text. But yes, I already see because they're going to speak Polish with some very strange accent. So this is let's see what is going to be generated. Everything can be generated in a way you want it to be, and even if you're not sure, let's say I don't know what kind of jokes I want to be used. Yeah, so I can, for example, say I am from, let's say, Spain. I live in, say, Kraków. Generate a prompt for notebook LM where the hosts a joke about the instrumental case, but I can also learn about the grammar a bit. So if you give a few details about yourself, or just if you don't want to share your personal details, you can just write, okay, generate a funny conversation about the Polish grammar and use characters, let's say, from my favorite movie. I don't know, you can like a comedy that you like, or things like this, yeah. Um, Beginner friendly. Okay, let's see what's going on notebook. Still busy.
So
So
I definitely agree that this is like fundamentally a big shift in how you can learn a language. And like you said earlier, to bounce off of the MP3 audio, I think not only just having this, but also having the ability to hear it, especially with, let's say, correct pronunciation, or at least the pronunciation with an accent. I don't know if the audio will be, perfect Polish grammar and pronunciation, or if you might hear an American Polish accent. I definitely think that this is wildly beneficial, especially for those who really want to become integrated. If they don't have access to maybe a native speaker or access to the culture, they can obviously get some type of listening in with it. So, obviously, other learning systems, such as, well, I don't want to point fingers, but we all know the owl that teaches you English or Spanish, where you have a very good streak. Um, yeah, I don't want you to get copyright, strikes, for me saying them. So yeah, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to do that. But anyways, yeah, the Green Owl app. And so yeah,
Yeah,
definitely it's definitely not, very intuitive for learning a language. It's good for practice, but as someone who's been learning Polish for quite some time, I've used the Green Owl app, and it wasn't always the best because it would begin using plural, or let's say present or future continuous, when I didn't know what that was at the time in Polish. And
yeah,
so it was just very hard to practice, I'd always run out of hearts. So I can definitely see this is going to be a lot better for people who want to, let's say, listen and hear, well, actual conversations. So very, very cool.
yeah, yeah. Let's listen to this one now.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something really interesting in Polish grammar. It's the instrumental case. In Polish, they call it nagzonik. Get ready.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Oh,
deep.
sorry, but yeah, this was what. So okay. Obviously, the pronunciation was pretty bad, but the bright side is that it sounds funny, right? So
Yeah.
it's still something I really like. For me, it's really funny. So let let's let's see.
Because this is kind of a shortcut, I think, to understanding what I like to call the Swiss-Army-Lasso of Polish. I mean, it's just incredibly versatile. It does darn near everything.
Okay, so we have some kind of, I don't know why they chose to talk about the Swiss army, but it's still in a way
Yeah.
related to soldiers, right? Which
Like
is a
I get what they're doing, because it's like the Swiss Army knife is, many little tools in a knife, but
yeah,
Swiss Army lasso.
yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay, let's listen. Yeah?
It really does. And that versatility, well, that's exactly why getting a handle on this case is so, so important. It helps you understand all those connections, how actions happen in Polish sentences. It's actually quite fascinating how much meaning you can pack into just a tiny tweak on a noun's ending.
Absolutely. So our
Yeah, so you were right. That's why they chose, the Swiss Army knife. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't think about it, but that's true. Which is ingenious, I would say. Like the
Yeah,
way
it's
they
great.
started,
Yeah,
it's really interesting. It's like engaging. Yeah.
it was pretty good. I mean, it's not something I would say, but it's definitely something unique, and it did catch my attention. So we're talking about it. That's exactly what they wanted. So
Yeah,
yeah, mission accomplished.
let's listen more.
mission here in this deep dive is basically to walk you through the different ways this powerful case gets used. We want to cut through the complexity, give you those aha moments, and maybe some surprising facts along the way. You'll see how Polish nouns, they sort of change their endings decline is the technical term. They might just add a little in or in, like studium. It sounds small, right? But it carries a lot of weight meaning wise. Okay, so let's unpack this. Right, first big area for the instrumental. It's about accompaniment, the whole with whom, with what idea. So if I say idę za Anna, that means I'm walking with Anna. That's a classic example. Yeah.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is just how wide this applies. So let's say Anna brings her yoga mat along.
Okay.
You're not just walking with Anna, the person.
Sure.
You're also walking Zimato with the mat. See? Even the mat, an object. It takes that instrumental ending.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about people.
Not at all. And if you've got your dog with you, a pies,
Yeah.
well, in the
Pies instead of pies, instead pies. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
actually something I've heard many times, from my
Ah,
students. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah,
Interesting. Okay, I wouldn't have guessed it. Okay. Huh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because if you look at the word pies,
Oh yeah.
that's in English pies.
Yeah, man. Okay. Odd. It's just very
Yeah,
weird that it's like that it's getting this correct. And like I want to poke holes in this, but I can't. I really can't.
yeah. So one thing I wanted to say about the whole AI thing is that the models that I've been showing are the worst models that we are going to use, right? So right now, it's not really possible to do bilingual podcast, not with Notebook LM, but in the near future, this is going to be possible. Like, for example, there is another AI tool, which I tested today. It generates only, it's not like a podcast, but like it's one person speaking, but they switch languages fluently without any mistakes.
Mhm.
So obviously, right now, Notebook LM is not that good, but it's just a matter of time. Maybe even next week it's going to be, maybe next month. But my idea is that in the near future, teachers and also students who want to play with these tools can generate all kinds of, learning materials for themselves. And yeah, um, what do you think about this?
No, I definitely agree with you, especially as a previous student and now current teacher. I can definitely see the applications on both ends here. Now, as you just said, it's not the best right now when it comes to generating these, conversations, but as we've seen with many different AI models for video creation and generation, all it is a matter of time. So I definitely agree with you here. And I think this can be utilized in a very good way, especially for public schooling education as a whole, for, let's say, teachers of another language, of even, let's say, core fundamentals such as reading, math, and science as well. So I really do see this being a great tool that can be implemented in the future as a teacher, and as well even for students to, well, help themselves, to maybe not tutor themselves, but to help with self-practice. Now, given that, obviously that does impose the idea, will it be so good that we won't need a teacher? I hope not, but I can definitely see how it can be used as a substitute in a worst case scenario, right? So
Yeah,
I still do think that as a person, we do need another physical person, at least to, communicate with. As much as
yes.
I did, yeah, as much as I did enjoy, using the Green Owl app, I realized that was not very beneficial. From the Green Owl app, I transitioned to a physical book for Polish words and vocabulary, and that was very beneficial. And then, of
No,
course,
no, no, you
that.
work with soldiers and you use codes yourself.
So yeah, I gotta say it's been quite the improvement, So I definitely think it can be beneficial, especially to teach someone in the state that it's in. But as of right now, I can see that it does need a lot of work. I don't think it's going to replace anyone anytime soon, but I definitely think it can be used for, an educational purpose by a teacher. So I might even use this. That's really good.
Yeah, I'm sure that in the near future, um, it's going to be something that, like today you have a smartphone, right? And you can't um, survive in the current society without it. And I think something similar will happen with AI. I don't think it's going to replace people or teachers. It might replace teachers who don't use it,
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's going to also be able to generate all kinds of, you know, courses for teachers also how to use AI, right?
of course.
So I don't want to, sound like um, someone who is totally optimistic about it because I'm not. But as a teacher, I think it is absolutely the biggest game changer I have ever seen. And yeah, so I don't want to take more of your time. What I'm going to do, I'm going to download it, and it is going to be, let's say, attached to our podcast. So later everyone can listen to the whole AI generated podcast, the Swiss Army Lasso of Polish Grammar. All right. Um,
Yep.
yeah, I am really thankful for joining me today, and uh, hope to see you in the next one.
No, of course, this won't be the only one. So, thank you to everyone who's listening. Thank you, Pan Janusz, for everything. We really appreciated you, especially showing us this tool. I thought that was really cool. For me, at least, as a student, teacher, hybrid, I can say definitely this is something that's gonna have a big impact for teachers and students alike.
Yeah, thank you, and see you in the next one. Dziękuję
Of
bardzo.
course, thank you very much.
Dziękuję.
Have a great night. Do
Dziękuję.
widzenia.
Cześć. Do widzenia. Cześć. Now you can listen to the AI generated podcast I was showing before.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something really interesting in Polish grammar. It's the instrumental case. In Polish, they call it nagzonik. Get ready, because this is kind of a shortcut, I think, to understanding what I like to call the Swiss-Army-Lasso of Polish. I mean, it's just incredibly versatile. It does darn near everything.
It really does. And that versatility, well, that's exactly why getting a handle on this case is so important. It helps you understand all those connections, how actions happen in Polish sentences. It's actually quite fascinating how much meaning you can pack into just a tiny tweak on a noun's ending.
Absolutely. So our mission here in this deep dive is basically to walk you through the different ways this powerful case gets used. We want to cut through the complexity, give you those aha moments, and maybe some surprising facts along the way. You'll see how Polish nouns, they sort of change their endings decline, is the technical term. They might just add a little in, like, studium. It sounds small, right? But it carries a lot of weight, meaning-wise. Okay, so let's unpack this. Right. First big area for the instrumental. It's about accompaniment, the whole with whom, with what idea. So if I say, idę za Anna, that means I'm walking with Anna. That's a classic example, yeah.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is just how wide this applies. So let's say Anna brings her yoga mat along.
Okay.
You're not just walking with Anna, the person.
Sure.
You're also walking Zimato with the mat. See? Even the mat, an object. It takes that instrumental ending.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about people.
Not at all. And if you've got your dog with you, a pies,
Yeah.
well, in the instrumental, the dog becomes sem.
Sem. Got it. So it's really signaling that something or someone is alongside you, involved with whatever's happening, really shows how it connects things. So where else does this super flexible case show up?
Well, this actually brings up a really important point about Polish itself. It's about how the language compresses information. Think about English. We often need separate little words, prepositions like with, by, us.
Right. Lots of extra word.
Exactly. But Polish, it often just folds that whole relationship, that whole meaning, right into a tiny ending on the noun itself. It fundamentally changes how you build sentences and even how you think about actions and identities in the language.
Wow, that's some serious linguistic efficiency. Okay, moving on then. How about defining identities? Roles people play. Like you could say, "Jesteś bodziem," which means you're a cowboy. That's using the instrumental to say what someone is.
Precisely. Or, maybe your family's always wishing you'd become a praniki, I'm a lawyer.
Oh, right.
Or you could tell them, nope, I'm actually a grammar wrangler, which in Polish you could say is pogromcu principalnego.
Pogromcu principalnego.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it's not just about being with something. It's describing what someone is or maybe what they become, their job, their role in a situation.
It's all about how that noun is functioning as something specific. Okay. Let's pivot now to the third main use, the by means of something idea. This is where it really feels like a tool case, describing the instrument or maybe the method you use to do something. Like when you say, "Jadę koniem," I ride by horse.
Exactly right.
No.
And this is where the name narzędnik really clicks. It comes from the Polish word for tool, narzędzie.
Ah, okay. Tool case. Makes sense.
It totally makes sense. Think about Poland's famous winged hussars, right? Those cavalry guys.
Yeah.
They charged into battle seblu, with a saber.
With the saber. The saber's the tool.
The saber is the instrument of their action, and the instrumental case captures that perfectly.
So horse, saber, it's about the tool, the method being used. Does it go beyond physical tools, though?
Oh, definitely.
Ah.
It can also describe the medium something happens through, like you breathe with air, right? In Polish, that's odicium powietrzem. Air is the medium.
Odicium powietrzem, okay.
Or maybe you like to relax muzykan, country with country music.
Ah, relaxing with music.
Yes, but here's a crucial little point. Be careful. Muzika, with that on endings, it's instrumental. It means by means of music or with music. Don't mix it up with muzika with an ending. That's the accusative case.
Okay, what's the difference in meaning there?
Muzika would mean the music is the direct object of the verb. Like, I listen to the music, słucham muzyka. But muzika is how you're doing something like relaxing by means of music.
Ah, okay, that little O versus makes a big difference. Museum, the means. Muzika, the thing itself.
Exactly. Tiny ending, different rule in the sentence.
That clarification is super helpful. No grammatical knots, hopefully. Okay, let's do a quick lightning round just to nail this down. How about eating soup?
Right. Jem zupy, I eat soup with a spoon. The spoon, yuka, is the instrument.
Yuko. Got it. And what if you're talking to someone important, like a general?
Good one. Rozmawiam z generałem. I'm talking with the general. Shit. Here, the instrumental generalum shows who you're interacting with. It's kind of that accompaniment idea again, but with a specific role.
Excellent. Okay, it really drives home how it's used for the means, the tool, or sometimes the role involved.
And this just brings us straight back to that core idea.
Yeah.
The Polish instrumental really is the tool case. My uncle, for instance, he fixes tractors, always fixing tractors.
Right.
And he does it kluczem, with a wrench.
Kluczem with a wrench.
For him, that's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just as natural for Polish speakers to use the narzędnik to express how an action is done.
It really is fascinating how narzędnik literally means tool case. So your uncle's basically been a grammar expert all along without knowing it.
Yeah, I should tell him that. He'll probably toast to the revelation. Piłem.
Piłem. With a beer, of course.
Naturally, it's just so perfectly named. It really is the case you use for tools and means.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. What does this all mean for you listening? We've covered quite a bit today, trying to really boil down the power of this Polish instrumental case?
Yeah, if we look at the big picture, you'll see the Polish instrumental case really shines in, let's say, three main kinds of situations. First, there's that with whom, with what idea, indicating accompaniment. Remember, idę on, I'm walking with Anna.
Right.
Or idziesz mato, you're walking with a mat. And don't forget our dog friend, pies, becoming sem.
The accompanying noun. Yep, got that.
Okay, second big use. As something, this is often for professions or roles people take on, like just a cowboyjim, you're a cowboy. Or maybe hoping someone becomes a pranikiem, a lawyer. And our fun example, the grammar wrangler, pogromcis plobadko. That fits right in here too.
Defining roles, identities, crystal clear.
And then the third main one, by means of something. This is all about the tools, the instruments, the methods you use to do an action. So, jadakonium, I ride by horse.
Yep.
Or jem zupa I eat soup with a spoon. It really is the tool case in action. Doesn't matter if you're fixing tractors, glutsom with a wrench.
Or toasting puem with a beer.
Exactly.
So we've definitely seen how Polish uses these really small endings to pack in a whole lot of meaning. From, those winged hussars fighting żablo with a saber,
Right.
to just chilling out muzyk in country with country music. And crucially remembering that difference. Musica for the means, musica for the direct object.
That distinction is key.
Okay, now for your listener dare. We want to challenge you to try this out. Create your own sentence using the instrumental case. Maybe try using some of the things we talked about, a lasso, a saber, perhaps a yoga mat. You could say something like, Evicha lasem. I do yoga with a lasso. Why not?
Ah, I'd like to see that.
It's just an invitation, stretch those linguistic muscles. Just remember, the Polish instrumental case might have small endings, but it opens up huge possibilities for expressing yourself. Thanks for diving deep with us. Do uszycenia.
She was sweet, but I have to teach her how to pronounce the last phrase, which was do usłyszenia. That's like, hear you later. Anyway, so during the podcast, I was saying something like, in the near future, like maybe next week, you have a better model, and I was not wrong, because less than 3 weeks later, there is a new model, and now you can not only hear but also watch what this new model of notebook LLM generated.
All right, let's dive right into a real powerhouse of Polish grammar. It's called the instrumental case, or narzędnik. Now, that might sound a little intense, but trust me, you're about to find out that this is your new secret weapon for sounding way more natural when you speak Polish. So, let's get into it. So, to get our heads wrapped around this, I want you to think of this case as the Swiss-Army-Lasso of Polish. I mean, how great is that? It's a multi-purpose tool that can do just about anything. And it's the perfect way to picture just how useful this thing really is. Okay, so what does this Swiss Army Lasso actually do? Well, at its heart, it's got three main jobs. It's for talking about doing something with a person or an object, for saying who you are as a profession or identity, and for explaining that you did something by means of a tool. So with, as, by. That's it. That's the secret code. Right. Let's get that lasso spinning and see how this thing actually works. For something so powerful, the best part is how surprisingly simple it is to actually form. Most of the time, you're just going to add one of two little magic endings to your noun, either em or ong. That's the basic trick to making it work. So let's start with its first and probably most common job, showing that you're with someone or with something. Okay. Let's take a super simple sentence. If you want to say, I'm walking with Anna, the name Anna just changes to ano. You see? That base noun just picks up that instrumental ending. Idę z ano. Simple as that. And get this, it's not just for people. The exact same logic works for things. So, if you're off to yoga, you're going with a mat. The word mata, a mat, becomes matą. Idziesz z matą. The grammar, it really doesn't care if you're with your best friend or your yoga mat, which led one of our sources to joke that this basically means your grammar is doing yoga right there with you. It's a downward-facing noun. which is just a hilarious way to remember that, yeah, even objects have to stretch into their case endings.
Okay, time for the next gadget on our Swiss Army lasso. This one's not about what you're with, but about who you are. Think your job, your role, your identity.
So let's say you want to declare you are a cowboy. The noun cowboy, just grabs that M ending we talked about. It becomes cowboyem, jesteś cowboyem. See? It's not just what you're with, it's what you are. Now, this is where it gets fun. One of our sources imagined telling someone that you're a grammar wrangler, which in Polish is pogromcą przypadków. The reaction to hearing that title sounds like I hunt ghosts of declined nouns. And that is just a perfect example of how you can use this case to create these amazing, descriptive, and kind of funny titles for yourself. And now for the third and maybe the most literal function of the narzędnik. This is where we get to the actual tool part, showing the instrument or the means by which you do something. And you know, this whole tool thing, it has some serious historical street cred. So let's take a quick detour back in time to see how Poland's legendary winged hussars use this exact grammar in the middle of a battle. And this is what is so cool. Grammatically speaking, a Polish winged hussar charging with a saber, that's szablon, is doing the exact same thing as a cowboy wrangling cattle with a lasso, that's lasem. Totally different warriors, completely different tools, but they are united by the very same piece of grammar. That's the tool concept right there. But here's where it gets really beautiful. The whole idea of a tool can be abstract. You breathe powietrzem by means of the air. You relax muzyką by means of music. Suddenly, things like air and music become the instruments for your actions. It's just such a flexible, almost poetic part of the language. And now for the big reveal, the moment it all clicks into place. The Polish name for this case, narzędnik, literally means tool case. It's been hiding in plain sight the whole time. So a mechanic fixing a tractor, kluczem, with a wrench, is using the exact same grammar that we are right now to fix our sentences, narzędnikiem, with the tool case itself. Pretty meta, huh? All right, you've seen the theory, you've seen the examples, now it's your turn. It's time to put your new tool to the test with a little narzędnik challenge. Are you ready? Okay, first up, speed round. You're eating soup. Your tool is a spoon. In Polish, that's łyżka. So how do you say it? Go. Yes. Jem zupę łyżką. You got it. That feminine noun łyżka gets that ong ending. Perfect. Next one. Keep that energy going. You're riding. Your means of transport, a horse. That's koń in Polish. How do you say, I'm riding by horse? Boom! Jadę koniem. Exactly. The masculine noun koń takes that M ending. See? You've totally got this. Okay, so here it is. Your final mission. Your narzędnik der. I want you to pick a tool. It can be a lasso, a saber, a yoga mat, I don't care, and then build a sentence using it in the instrumental case. And there's only one rule. You have to try and make it funny, because that's how this stuff really sticks in your brain. Need some inspiration? Well, how about this little masterpiece? Ćwiczę jogę z lasem. I do yoga with a lasso. It's ridiculous, it's grammatically flawless, and I guarantee you will never, ever forget it. So now it's your turn. What's the most creative sentence you can build with your new Swiss Army lasso?